Greetings, world. Us hairy game lords have been playing this. Streets.
What's the word?
Streets. By Sinister Fish. But what did we think? Find out.
Is it up our street?
Oh.
Hi. Hello. Dave the Grey. Streets. Now then, there's many sorts of streets. Streets of Desire. Streets of Fire. Willem Dafoe in some weird wader thing. Watch it. Streets, the board game. Too short to be actually tactical. Too long to be a filler.
Oh,
he's so deep.
Oh my goodness.
That's shocking, Dave. That's not allowed, Dave.
Dave.
So, bearded lady here, and we have got the deluxe copy because that's what Hipster King backed on Kickstarter. And I have to say, I'm glad he did, because look at the screen printed meeples. This is a larger one because it's worth 5 of the smaller ones. Nice. These are a real delight. Look at that, all in there to play with and use on the ever-expanding streets.
For want of a better word.
For want of a better word. Have we got any cards? Have we got any street cards? I believe it or not, I did like the artwork, although that is not a general consensus in this group. So yeah, I really like the artwork on the cards. I have villagers, and I got into this game a heck of a lot quicker and easier. I found it easier to understand and grasp a hold of. The rulebook wasn't as daunting. And not that I read the rulebook, Pete did that. And not that I listened when Pete told us that.
Something's going to change.
But I enjoyed the game, even though I came last. And I kind of understood the game as well. We played with additional powers. And I was the hacker, which was pretty cool. Had some cool power there that I got to score what was ever in my hand as well when it came to scoring. But even with that cool special ability, it was nothing compared to the overpoweredness of James's contractor, which I'm sure he will tell you all about when he gets a chance to. I enjoyed the game. I'd really, really like to play it again and see if I can get the contractor card. No, and just try out some different techniques, maybe try and win. Let's not play with the contractor card, that would be good. But yeah, good game, really enjoyed it. Love the kind of colourfulness of everything on the table as it's laid out. Nice. Liked it.
So already said about this game in terms of it is relatively easy to teach and to play. You know, what I like, you've got these turn sequence cards, and basically this boils down in one simple card, 3 instructions, and then how you score. There are a few additional rules to all those key things that you can explain as you're going through it. But this card I thought was beautiful in terms of explaining the core of the game really, really quickly. Which for those people who it's your job to learn and teach the game, that was really, really nice and made it really simple. In terms of what you do on the game, you have three building cards in your hand, and you have to build one of these cards. Now, what I like about this, there's some knowledge of what you've got, because everybody can see that you've got one hipster-based card, you've got one wild card, and you've got one retail card. There are also family cards, and there are pink tourist cards. So you've got these different buildings that you're going to be placing, but the details of the card only you can see. So there's a bit of hidden information, but there's also some shared information, so people can have a look at what you've potentially got. I don't think in our first game we really used that to our advantage. We've already said that we think the contractor card was overpowered. I'm willing to think that it may have only been overpowered because we were using those cards in our first game and we hadn't got all the additional strategy that you might need. I think it might bring it closer, so we'd have to play a few more times to see if it was ridiculously powerful, because basically 3 of us were within about 10 points of each other, and then James was sort of 80-90 points ahead of us. So it clearly was, on a first game, I wouldn't use that card on when you're playing your first version. Probably learn a few. I think there are probably things that could be done to mitigate that.
Rip it up.
But in essence, you're going to learn
it. Burn James.
all of these things are potentially possible. You're going to be placing your buildings onto a street, and that street, these streets will grow. You can start to close off that street, and if you end up with a street completely closed in, that street in the middle, this line in the middle, will be scored. And whenever you build a building, you put a little ownership token on it, a bit like a for sale sign. And that means that when that street is closed, you're going to score all the buildings that have got on that street that have got your token on. And there are different things. This one would give you $4 for every wild token that exists on that street. And then you get any additional, you get the wonderful meeples are on your tile, you score those as well. So you kind of build up your scoring. So there's an element almost as you're laying your tiles as potentially creating a bit of an engine if you really wanted to. So you can be moving, because when you score a tile, you move the meeples from that tile onto any available building of that type anywhere else in the town that isn't already enclosed. So if you're careful about planning your moves, you can potentially move a whole load of additional scoring points onto your next building ready to score. And then picking when you enclose streets to score them and all that becomes really tactical. Knowing what other people have got to play is probably the element of the game we didn't get into enough yet. So I think there are layers of strategy we haven't even scratched the surface of. This was a really fun game as a first play. I can see there are levels of strategy that, given many plays, you would need to really dig down into to working out how to counteract some of those cards, and to use your powers to the best of your ability will be one of those things. So this is a game that definitely would benefit from a number of plays. As already said, beautiful components on the deluxe, and it all fits so cleverly into this box. That's one of the things I love about Sinister Fish. They don't go mad on they produce really nicely done games, but it's a tiny box and everything's in there. It's a lot of game in a box that size. And while they're doing that, Dave is planting trees. So the whole sort of green element of this game, it's not full of tons of plastic. So, I like that about this game too. So well done, Sinister Fish. And if you get a chance, give it a play. In fact, give it lots of plays, because then you'll get good at it.
Slightly better James here, and I have got a counter argument. Perhaps I'm actually really good at this game. Right. So I'm here to tell you about our good friend the contractor and why he is the most amazing card in the game. Basically, he lets you build twice and he lets you score twice.
And take 2 cards.
Just like, yeah, ridiculous, amazing. Would play as the contractor again.
Of course.
So,
We're not gonna let you do that.
This game's got some real cleverness about it. We played Villagers, we enjoyed that a lot. Although, actually, one of the early things that we said into this game is we really like this one more because it's got a better use of the table, apart from Dave. I like Villagers as well. I like the art in the Villagers a bit more. Oh my goodness. One of our favourite things is this. It is a sack full of money, and this money is really nice. It actually is one of the best things that Sinister Fish is bringing out at the moment. So money that is all different colours, shapes, sizes. Really nice tactile use of money. Love it. And the other thing, where's it gone?
Well,
we've got the little pod thing there. So the way that the box is organised as well is you've got mini boxes which have got your components stacked nicely. There's some really lovely components in there. It's a real joy to play. It's a nice thing to have on the table. Personally, I wasn't sold on the artwork. I don't know, I really like the creativity and the approach to the buildings and the way of getting loads and loads of personality in. Just wasn't a fan of the art style, personally. Apart from that, I'd be up for this again, and I don't want to play as the contractor again because I want to prove myself and how good I am at games.
Yeah.
So yeah, pray for me in my next attempt. Yeah, I think like Pete was saying, it's something that is way easier to pick up and play than Villagers.
Yeah.
And yeah, the only thing that we got stuck on a couple of times was like there's a couple of special cases that we met. For example, we really liked how when you complete a street and you enclose it, you score that street, and it's all of these little people meeples on there. And they get up and move to the next place. So, for example, if you have put down a hot new shop, they all flock to it if they're into shopping. But if they don't have a building to go to, they stand up, waiting like meerkats with FOMO meerkats. And there were a couple of times when we played a card and it scored something, but we weren't sure where we put them. And so we ended up like with some lost people, which is fine. It's consumerism, isn't it? And everyone's lost on the high streets. But yeah, Streets is definitely one to play more than once. Don't move it on before trying it out if you've got it, and if you've not got it, see if you can play it. And plays the contractor.
Hi, Dave the Grey. They made me come back to say more. So, Villagers. Let's talk about Villagers. I really enjoyed Villagers after the first couple of turns, once I figured out what was going on, how everything flowed together. Streets is nice as a light. It's probably as close to Gateway, maybe Gateway Plus, and you could probably play it with most people. Villagers, I wouldn't try playing Villagers with non-gamers. Streets, I think you could get away with that quite easily, and it's probably right up their street.
Oh, Dave.
See what I did there? See what I did? I'm really proud of that. For depth, I much prefer Villagers. For 45 minutes, obviously, we hairy game lords managed to drag it out for an hour or so, although that was mainly us complaining about James cheating his way to victory with dodgy cards. But nice components. I like the artwork, although it kind of bugged me that all the houses ended up sideways, upside down and what have you. I'm just going a bit Nigel Tufnell on everybody there. But artwork's nice, components are awesome. Give it a try. It might be your kind of game. Probably wasn't mine, but I'd be happy to give it another try without the contractor card, just to annoy us all. So definitely give it a try. I've got a feeling it is one of those that's going to be two camps. People that like it, people that prefer something a bit meatier. But try it for yourself. Decide if you like it or not.